So, of course, we know over the past week or so what has happened at AEW behind the scenes. And apparently more information has come out, and probably one of the more telling, parts of that information is the fact that apparently CM Punk had this whole, shoot, nuclear bomb, AEW and its roster and all that. Obviously, he had it planned for weeks. Ever since, I guess you could say, his off-scriptness a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite. He's had this planned. He's had this plan when he heard that Nick Housen of Wrestling Inc. was going to be, at the media scrum. And, yeah. I'm going to tell you this right now. If I'm Tony Khan, and I'm just checking something there. But if I'm Tony Khan, and, I saw what CM Punk did a couple weeks ago on Dynamite, I would have, well, if I'm Tony Khan, seeing what CM Punk did a couple weeks ago, I would have pulled him aside. I would have had a team pull CM Punk aside, bring him to my office, and ask him what the hell that was about. I would ask him, what the hell was that about? Why did you go into business for yourself? Why did you do that? And if CM Punk would explain, well, that's what you let Adam Cole do as an answer, or not explain, but if CM Punk's answer would be, well, that's what you let Adam Page do a couple weeks, a couple months ago, I'll be able to double or nothing. If that would be Punk's answer, then yeah, Tony Khan could understand, Punk's frustrations and maybe sit him down and be like, okay, look, I get it. I'll talk to Adam. I'll talk to the roster later on and let people know you can't do that anymore and leave it at that. I would have had someone, like I said, I would have had Tony Khan himself or someone bring, Phil Brooks to Tony Khan, have him talk down, not talk down, but have them sit down, talk to each other, find out what's going on, and then basically rectify it. And if you have Tony Khan sit down with Adam Page, and then maybe meet with the roster and say, hey, if I ever hear or see you guys go into business for yourselves during promos or interviews that are supposed to build your programs with your opponents or whatever, I'm going to cut your mic. I'm going to cut your mic and I'm going to suspend you. And that's it. And, that's it. If I'm Tony Khan, that's what I should have done. I should have had somebody bring CM Punk to me, or I should have approached him, sat him down, talked things out, and then maybe go to Adam Page, talk things out with him, tell him that he, basically, let him know that you shouldn't have done what you did, and next time you do something like that, I'm going to probably suspend you. And then maybe repeat the same stuff to the roster. So that way I could try to avoid, in some capacity, the nuclear bomb that went off last Sunday. But, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. What he did was just allow himself to just sit there while CM Punk went crazy. He just went off the rails. He just sat there like, duh, duh, I'm in the majesty of CM Punk, greatest wrestler of all time, duh. That's what he did. That's what he did. And here's the thing. What a lot of people, and I think I've said it before, and I've said it recently too, Tony Khan, and Tony Khan needs to stop being a fan. He needs to stop being a fan, and hopefully what happened on Sunday is a wake-up call. I mean, him taking the first steps and to rectify this on Wednesday, I give him credit. That's kind of the right thing to do. That's kind of like the right first steps to rebuild, from this destruction, from this nuclear, explosion. Those are the, first, the first right steps to take. But, all Tony Khan did for himself was make himself look like an idiot. He did. I mean, the moment CM Punk saw Nick in the crowd, at the media scrum. And he started to go off about Scott Colton, a.k.a. Colt Cabana, because of Nick's ties to him. That's when that right there is when, if I'm Tony Khan, I would have cut his mic. I would have given a signal, go like that, have his mic cut, pull him to the side and say, Phil, I know what you're doing. Please don't do it. Focus on the match that you just won. Focus on complimenting Jon Moxley and your future program with MJF. That's what I've done. I would have pulled him to the side, whispered in his ear to knock it off, focus on what needs to be focused on, and then say, okay, turn his mic back on. I wouldn't have just sat there and looked like an idiot because I'm in the presence of CM Punk. I wouldn't have done that. But he didn't. But his thing, he allowed it to happen. He allowed it to happen, and as a result, he allowed that situation behind the scenes, backstage, to occur. He allowed that brawl to occur. All because, he didn't take initiative and say, cut the mic right now. Let me take him to the side and talk to him. Well, let me whisper in his ear and tell him to knock it off. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. He just let him go. He just let him go off. Now, his thing. It'd be one thing if he wants to shoot and, basically bash Colt Cabana and Nick's connection with him. That's fine. That's one thing. That's one thing. But to go on and talk about the Bucks and as the Bucks and Omega as EVPs and Paige and now apparently MJF and all that. It's like this is something that could have been avoided long ago. Like I said, all Tony Khan had to do after Punk went off script a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite, take him to the side, sit him down, talk things out, bring Adam Page in, talk things out with him, and then let both guys know separately that if you ever try to go into business for yourself again, I'm not only going to cut your mic, but I'm going to suspend you, maybe without pay. And that's what he should have done, but he didn't do that. He didn't take that initiative. Because if he would have took that initiative a couple of weeks ago after Punk's, offshoot, situation on Dynamite, none of what we saw, in my opinion, at the media scrum would have happened. But he didn't take the initiative. He didn't take the initiative, and now, because of what's occurred, it all falls on him. It doesn't just fall on CM Punk. It does. It doesn't just fall on the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega. It does. It doesn't just fall on Ace Steel. It does. And it doesn't just fall on Colt Cabana because of his ties with the Bucks and Omega. It does. Excuse me. But a majority of it falls on him because he's the owner. He's the guy that put billions and billions of dollars of his own, or his family's, or his dad's, if you will, into making this company what it is. And he just sat there and let, CM Punk drop bomb after bomb after bomb on the company like it was the U.S. dropping a bomb on Hiroshima, if you will. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But yeah, it's like when the U.S. dropped bombs on Hiroshima, if you will, in Tokyo, back during World War II. It's like that. That's all Punk was doing. And all Tony Khan did was sit there. That's all he did. That'd be like basically that'd basically be like I don't know what the title was for somebody that ran Japan. I think Emperor back then as well. I'm not really sure. But that'd be just like if the Emperor just stood there and just watched as his entire country is getting nuked. That's what it looked like with Tony Khan, and that's not a good look. That's not a good look. What he should have done, like I said, a couple weeks ago after CM Punk did that little offshoot deal, went into business for himself, take him aside, sit him down, talk things out and tell him basically face to face, you pull a stunt like this again, whether it's in the ring or whatever, I'm going to cut your mic and I'm going to suspend you. Even without pay. That's what he should have done. And then say the same thing to Adam Page and then to the rest of the roster. Basically let them know, I'm not going to tolerate this crap. You focus on the programs that you're a part of. You focus your promos on who you're feuding with and everything. Build up your match and that's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. But he didn't do that. He failed to take that initiative. And now because of it, apparently word has gotten out that because he didn't take the initiative, and CM Punk suspension is a suspension for the time being, which means it could remain a suspension or he could be terminated. And, you also have the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Ace Steel and all of them suspended. Daniels, Nakazawa, Pat Buck, who else is involved? Michael Nakazawa, Pat Buck, Daniels, just a bunch of people. Now you have feelers being sent out by the Bucks, potentially Omega as well, to WWE. And this is something that obviously we have not heard of ever for quite some time. We haven't heard about, any kind of connection or any kind of fillers being sent out to WWE, in years. Even since, I think the last time anybody heard about those was when AEW was just starting or on the verge of starting. And yet, now we're hearing about it, ironically, the week of this whole situation taking place. Now, we know the Bucks are tied into the company to at least 2024, but that doesn't mean they legally can't get out of the contracts. Because they can afford lawyers. They can come up with, backstories as to why they want out, maybe legit backstories as to why they want out, and they can get the release a lot earlier than expected. And if they do, there's no doubt they'll head to WWE. They might be aware of, we won't have the same kind of pool we have here and all that and stuff like that. They know they'll have to make some sacrifices, but still, they'd rather be in WWE right now than in AEW, because of what's going on, especially if Tony Khan, doesn't release CM Punk from his contract. That's what could happen. And I heard what JD had to say about it, this past Saturday, or yesterday actually. JD said basically that if something like this occurs, that could be the end of AEW. The Bucks leaving, Omega leaving, Page possibly leaving, that could be the end. AEW will not last much longer without them, because they are the heart and soul of that company. That is, basically the company was built around them, by them. I mean, the name in the middle, the word in the middle of the name of the company says it best. Elite. All Elite Wrestling, as in the Elite. So they leave. AEW, good luck to it trying to survive. Period. Good luck to it trying to survive, period. Because it won't. It won't survive. And if it's not the Elite leaving for WWE, in the future, either 2024 or sooner, because of these feelers they're sending out, if it's not them, it could be Tony Khan. Yeah, JD went there. JD from NY206 went there. He said Tony Khan could be the catalyst that could kill this company. He's the one that could kill it. If they don't straighten things out. Hopefully that's not the case. I mean, can you imagine being someone like a Bryan Danielson, realizing that, hey, I'm going to go into one of the biggest matches of my career, possibly in Arthur Ashe Stadium in a couple of weeks. Can you imagine if you're Bryan Danielson, you're hearing about all this, you're going home to your wife Brie Bella, and your daughter Birdie, and your wife is probably sitting down with you eating dinner and asking you, are you sure you made the right choice going to AEW? Do you not wish you could go back to WWE? Do you not think he doesn't get asked that? Almost I wouldn't say every night, but almost every other week or so. Do you not think he doesn't get asked that? I'm sure he does. I'm sure he gets asked that. And I'm pretty sure he's contemplating it. I'm pretty sure he's been like, yeah, with what's been going on recently, though, sometimes I wonder if I made the right decision. He's probably contemplating it. But as long as he gets to wrestle still, or have a place where he could be more than what he was in WWE, then so be it. But the point that I'm getting at, you have to wonder what guys like him are thinking. You have to wonder what guys like Miro are thinking. You have to wonder what Malachi Black is thinking right now. He's on vacation with Zelina Vega, wherever they are. And you have to wonder if, and he's on a conditional release, which means he's still contracted to the company. But you have to wonder what he's thinking and wondering, should I go back? Like once I get my mental facilities, all together and everything, or my mental faculties, that's the word I was looking for, together again, should I go back? Should I go back, knowing the mess I could go back to? You have to wonder what he's thinking. The point is, Tony Khan does not need a lot of his wrestlers, especially the ones that he knows draws him money, for his company. Like a Danielson, like a Malachi Black, like a Miro, like a Keith Lee and a Swerve Strickland. He doesn't, like a Thunder Rosa, whether he likes her or not, or even a Britt Baker or an Adam Cole, or Kyle O'Reilly. He doesn't need them second guessing whether or not they made the right decision to come to All Elite Wrestling. He needs to basically, prevent them from even thinking that or even second guessing that by rectifying the mess that he's basically put the company in right now. That's what he needs to do. He doesn't need them second guessing if, they made the right decision because of all that's going on right now. Yeah, they got fresh new opponents they face every week. They got fresh new matches, fresh new storylines, going to venues they've never been to, in a while, if at all. They got, being able to go off and work for other promotions like New Japan, AAA, they got all these opportunities in front of them that anybody would want, and when it comes to the sport, comes to this business. But he doesn't need these men and women second guessing if they made the right decision based on what's happened. So he needs to rectify this. And like I said, on Wednesday, in my opinion, he made the first right decision. By, not only not mentioning, the Elite or Punk, not showing them in the intro, but also stripping them of the belts. He didn't have to give a legit reason because, again, as I mentioned in one video, he probably knows the reason. Well, not he, but he probably knows fans watching at home and in attendance know the reason. They know the reason as to why he's doing this. And that's all that matters. But yeah, he does not need a lot of his talent, if not most of his roster, second guessing whether or not they made the right choice. Because if he starts having his talent wondering that, and maybe looking at how much things have improved on the other side, and hoping, hey, I would like to go and, be part of that eventually, maybe sooner if I can find a legal way out. He doesn't need his stars, he doesn't need his wrestlers thinking that or even wondering that. All because of the fact that he could not, but all because he couldn't take initiative when he should have. And again, the initiative he should have took was right after CM Punk went off script the first time. Take him aside, talk it out with him, ask him what's going on, and then tell him, hey, well, if you ever pull something like that again, I'm cutting your mic and I'm suspending you because you're going into business for yourself and not being a team player. I would have done the same thing with Adam Page, since Adam Page is kind of the one that started it. From what people pretty much, talking about and reporting. And I would have said the same thing to the rest of the locker room. I would have said the same thing. You guys go into business for yourselves next time. Go off script. Not focus on what needs to be focused on, storyline-wise, match-wise, opponent-wise. I'm going to cut your mic and I'm going to suspend you. That's what I would have done. That's what I would have done if I was Tony Khan. But he didn't do that. He didn't take that initiative until it was too late. And now look at the mess that he's in. Now look at the mess that he's in. You know, he had to... I mean, the trios titles, they don't even get a chance to breathe, and they already got, vacated, right after they get won by the first champions. They don't even get a chance to breathe or be acknowledged, as being held by a team or anything before they're stripped, and now they're around the waist of the Death Triangle of Pac, Penta El Zguro, and Rey Fenix. And everybody knows by watching All Out, they're not the real champion. They're not the first champions. The Elite is. But, because Tony Khan didn't take initiative, this is the mess we're in now. And you take a look at the tournament, the Grand Slam of Champions tournament that's going to conclude at Arthur Ashe in a week or two. He didn't need to do that. He could have done the tournament, but then have the winner face CM Punk. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that because he didn't take initiative originally when he should have. And now this tournament, which he probably was going to do anyway, but for the number one contendership, and the winner faces Punk in the finals, but not in the finals, but faces Punk maybe, on a Battle of the Belts, special, or maybe or maybe at Arthur Ashe, the following night or that same night, this tournament he probably originally planned to have for a number one contendership, is out the window. And now it's to determine a new, not interim, but official, legit, undisputed world champion. And then another person that's involved in the world title picture, MJF, he's involved in this somehow now too, apparently. The thing is, Tony Khan, at the end of the day, you really want to put the blame on somebody. You really want to put the blame on somebody. You can put blame on CM Punk for what he did. Put blame on the Bucks for what they did. On Kenny Omega, Ace Steel, Daniels, Nakazawa, Pat Buck, you name it. Put Colt Cabana. You can put the blame on all those parties involved. That's your opinion, and I agree with it. They should all take blame. But the one that should take the biggest blame, the one that should have the finger pointed at them because they didn't do their job, they didn't take the initiative when they should have, is the owner of this company. Because if he would have done that originally, after CM Punk went into business for himself, to give Adam Page that receipt, I believe none of this would have happened. I honestly do. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that. Now, look at the mess we're in. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below. Let me live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Super thanks afterwards as well. Check me out at Venmo at Brian-Warmer-2 and at Cash App at BEW Roses 98. Also check out the BW Roses Discussions podcast. At all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Check out the Teespring store as well. Check me out at VENMO for content you can't get anywhere else at BW Roses. And at patreon.com/BW Roses for the $1 or $3 tier. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are overall on the situation. And again, I believe because he didn't take initiative when he should have, this is the reason AEW is in the mess that it's in right now.